Hello, I am Fiona Sitkin, the author, producer, and host of the talk show The Bridge for Women Worldwide. And today I am hosting the new episode of The Bridge. Its title is Creative Diasporas Important for the Nation. This is part of our new series, Women Contributing to the Beauty of the World. And our guest for today's show is Dr. Oksana Lutsyshyna, Ukrainian writer and poet, a lecturer of University of Texas in Austin. Originally, she is from Ukraine. Today, you will learn how to survive and thrive as a creative person in America, what helps you and what does not. You will also learn what it takes to become a national influencer as a writer in diaspora, far from your native land. And our guest, Oksana Lutsyshyna, is an expert on that. So stay tuned and stay with us, please. Let me say a few words about the talk show. A professional educator and former Fulbright scholar, I rooted the show in my Huffington Post blogs and the recent book, How They Made It in America, Success Stories and Strategies of Immigrant Women, from Isabella Allende to Ivana Trump to fashion designer Jodi Natori, plus more. And today I have a distinct honor to welcome here and to present to you Dr. Oksana Lutsyshyna, whom I happen to know since her early university years in Ukraine. Now she is a Ukrainian American and an achiever in her own right. Welcome to the show, Oksana.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to contribute to your talk show about prominent women, and I really love all the ideas and the people you interview.
Thank you. I'm, of course, happy to see you. Let me introduce you properly here at the bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Oksana Lutsyshyna is a Ukrainian writer and poet. She authored 3 novels, 5 poetry books, and a collection of short stories. Her literary awards include a Lviv City of Literature UNESCO Prize for her novel, Ivan and Phoebe. Oksana is a lecturer in Ukrainian studies at the University of Texas in Austin, and I am immensely proud of her as one of the best language students that my own alma mater, University of Uzhhorod, ever had. Well, a lot of water went under the bridge after Oksana left for America, but trials and tribulations are good for aspiring authors. Why? Because they creatively process everything they see, and then they share with us their penetrating perspective, their vision on everything in Ukraine and the United States. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, again, welcome to the show. Welcome, Oksana.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for such a warm introduction.
Sure. Let us start with a question related to the title of our talk show. I personally believe that all women contribute to the beauty of the world in their own special way, but very often they are underappreciated. As a feminist, what do you think about the phrase women contributing to the beauty of the world?
Well, in this context, I read the beauty of the world as this world becoming more and more of an actual safe haven for women and girls. And I think women working together are now starting to form these connections. It not always was like that, because very often people who belong to an oppressed group, and that's what women have been for centuries, don't have good social skills. They don't know how to help each other. But I think now we are at the point where we finally can. And lots of events contribute to that.
Right, right. How about your own contributions?
Well, yeah, I think it's, first of all, of course, it's my teaching, because I do teach Eastern European literatures from the feminist perspective. And I show my students that the word feminism can be understood differently in different countries, and ways of empowerment can be very different also. So whatever can feel as that this is empowerment in the United States may not feel the same way in Ukraine, and vice versa. And then, of course, I do creative writing, but that's a little bit of a, it's murkier waters, because you never know what will come of it. It's like a long-term projection into time and space.
Right, right. Well, Oksana, you live in America on and off for 25 years now, right?
20.
20. What successes here made you happy?
Well, I came here because I actually wanted to study, and what I wanted to study was just not available in Ukraine at that time. We talk a lot about corruption back home in Ukrainian universities, unfortunately. But I also know that it is very difficult to just blame the students, because the system is set up in such a way that you're doomed to fail for the most part. It's, for example, if you need books, you don't have access to a good library, or you don't have interlibrary loan, and just it goes on, and then you spend your energy xeroxing books in the library instead of working with them. So that was my quest. I kind of felt like I needed to study critical theory and some other things related to literature. So, and I don't look at it in terms of the degrees necessarily. I just look at it as the success is the actual knowledge that I did have access to, and that's great, and excellent mentors and everything. Then also the fact that I am now working for UT, which is a great school with this wild, raw, eclectic energy like no other place probably in the United States. It's really, really good. And also, I'm very happy that my book appeared in English last year through Boston publishers called Aerosmith. It's a book of poems in translation. So all these things make me very happy.
Good for you. Let us now talk where your strengths come from. Which were the features of your cultural heritage that helped you the most?
Well, this is where the story gets ambiguous, because we do have a number of strategies or coping strategies and so on, but I don't know if they're the best sometimes, that what we took from home. I wrote this poem the other month that sort of went viral for a second, because Oksana Zabushko, a prominent writer, reposted it, and then people started responding to it, about a certain kind of a Soviet zombie that never falls. And this sort of, as people of my generation and older, reacting not so much to the good patriotic things that Ukraine as it is now produced, but to some old Soviet military marches, because that's what we heard as kids. And you hear it, and even if you're half dead, you get up.
Wow.
I don't know if it's a good thing, because it's like I carry this Soviet Terminator inside me that never falls, but that's because he doesn't know how to get up. A Soviet person was not falling, but also not capable of collecting themselves if something did happen. So actually, Ukrainian dissidents understood that, and Vasyl Stusin wrote in his letters to his son that don't be afraid to fall, but learn how to get up. So I think it's kind of a constant struggle here. So the Soviet Robocop or Terminator inside me just won't let me fall, but then my American side that I've acquired tells me that even if you do, it's okay, because we already know how to get up. So it's a dialectics.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love how you put it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let us talk about Ukrainian diaspora now. According to Census 2006, there are over 900 million Ukrainians living in the United States. And many of them are very creative and even famous. For example, Young Kum, a co-founder of WhatsApp, or the Hollywood actresses Mila Kunis, Mila Jovovich, to mention a few. Now, Who are your most favorite Ukrainian Americans? That is the question.
Well, that should be its own talk show, because literally there's hundreds of names, and many of them are my colleagues and friends working at various universities. But to just name very few people,
Right.
it would be, of course, Askold Melnichuk, who's a Ukrainian but was born in the United States. He's a writer, writes in English, and he's a publisher. Then Virlyana Tkach, who's a theater director based in New York and who stages great performances based on Ukrainian poetry that she translates. Then from older generation, I would probably mention Marta Bohachevsky-Chomyak, who used to run the Fulbright program in Ukraine and who actually authored a book about Ukrainian women's movements. This is a groundbreaking book, and it's sort of the basis of all the writings. Yeah.
Right.
And then Vasyl Makhno, a famous poet who also lives in New York and who is my friend. So really, this is a never-ending list. I'm afraid to even start naming everyone.
Okay, no. Well, yeah, we love them all. Just several that come to mind right now. Thank you so much. Well, many famous writers contributed to their national literatures, as we know, from overseas, from diaspora. For example, Nabokov, Solzhenitsyn, Yevtushenko, Brodsky, etc. I believe that you may have a chance to become a Ukrainian Isabella Allende. I believe in your potential. Anyway, what I mean to say is that I would like the creative contributions of Ukrainian Americans into Ukrainian culture to be appreciated enough. Why? Because they enrich the total intellectual, spiritual wealth of the entire nation. That's why. What do you think about it?
Well, I do believe so too, and I think that process has really begun for people in Metropolia to sort of understand what diaspora is all about. Unfortunately, because of the Iron Curtain and totalitarian rule, people in Ukraine didn't understand what Ukrainian diaspora was all about. So they still kind of sometimes speak about diaspora in a sort of ironic way.
Soviet-style ironic way.
Soviet-style, because the Soviets, of course, demonized diaspora. To them, it was enemy, and we know why. Because actually, though Ukraine was not on the map, Ukrainian diaspora behaved the way that as if it was on the map. And they actually collected money together so that they could represent Ukraine at different exhibitions and so on and so forth. So it was a very powerful group of people. And usually it's Metropolia supporting diaspora, even sometimes financially. But in our case, it turned out to be the other way around. For example, Osip Zienkiewicz, a man from diaspora, comes to Ukraine, opens the first publishing house that hosts young writers, hence come some of our best voices in poetry and fiction now. So that's and again, it's not always that people in Ukraine understand that. So we are working towards that greater understanding now.
Maybe in time it improves, huh? Well, let's hope so. They say, let's hope for the best. And we do. We are big optimists about it, right? Now I would like you to comment on something, on a quote that I write. And this is the quote. It's from Salman Rushdie, who emigrated from Iran many years ago. And I would ask you to read and elaborate on this quote, if you please.
Sometimes we feel we straddle two cultures, at other times that we fall between two stools. Yeah, I love the quote. It's a very graphic image. And actually, I have another one to contribute to it. It's from Michel Foucault, who said that somehow the way the system of education is organized, that we think that being educated means sitting on a chair for prolonged periods of time. So the reason I bring it up is because I feel that sometimes we tend to focus too much on straddling things when actually it's very beneficial to fall between two stools indeed, because it's a certain reality moment, and then you get to see that there's indeed two, and you kind of have distinct features that you can describe. I think it's inevitable, absolutely, and it's actually one of those beneficial things about being an immigrant. It's kind of like you see two contexts instead of one, and you always have a different point of reference.
Yeah, well, that's good. Thank you for the answer. Let us now talk about the values that enable success. As immigrants, we know very well that any achievement in a foreign land is hard. And therefore, in my recent book, I distilled and described 7 values that help women immigrants succeed. Now, if you were to choose, Oksana, 1 or 2 of the values, which one would that be and why? Please.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually have your book via Kindle and I read it. So in my case, I think it'd probably be communication, creativity, and strategic thinking, because I tend to like the big picture. And these are things that come to me more or less naturally. And the other things perhaps one has to work on, but I guess it's different for each person.
Right. Okay. That's all right. Thank you. You shared quite a bit today, and I'm very grateful. And I believe that your ideas will come in handy for many people. Why? Because yours is a story of great creative success, and it has many lessons for our viewers. So let me thank you again for being an inspiration, Oksana.
Thank you.
Sure, sure. Let us now move to the summary. And I recommend that from our interview, the audience remembers 3 takeaways. 1, Oksana Lutsyshyna is a role model of a national influencer, writer, poet, and critic. 2, please remember Oksana's success values and follow her if you can. And 3, order the book, How They Made It in America, to learn more about success in the US. And finally, let's connect. We can connect via the links on YouTube, on my personal website, the book website, www.fionasitkin.com. And you may write to me directly, fiona.sitkin@gmail.com. And if you send me a message, I may send you my book for free if you pay shipping and handling. Of course, I invite you to please subscribe to our channel. Finally, Oksana and I want to thank you for watching us, and we wish you a lot of health for many, many years to come. Bye-bye now.
Bye.